So looking back at the Commanders Cardinals game, this one it was just ugly. It was hideous. It was one of their best games against the worst game I've seen the Cardinals play in a couple of years. Just the words lack of effort have gotten used a lot, and this looked like one of them. There are players within that did show up and did play well. James Conner played well. Marvin always shows up. Guys like that. I really don't think Kyler had a lack of effort. He just wasn't connecting as well that day. So there were players. I don't want to just be like, oh, no one showed up. It was enough lack of effort or lack of preparation or what have you that it was a problem. So the big question people asked this week was, are you more disappointed in the offense and the defense? I was like, I'm disappointed in both, but for very different reasons. I'm disappointed in the offense because this was the worst defense in the league coming into this game that they went up against. Washington had allowed 88 points through 3 games, and we put up 14. And our offense is supposed to be our strength, so that was really disappointing. Our defense is predictably bad. They shouldn't be giving up 42 points all the time, but they're predictably bad. My disappointment there is more at an organizational level. It's like, how did you not see this coming? We knew this was going to happen. And that just is what it is at this point. So we can't do anything about it now except for weather the storm and hope they figure some stuff out during the year. Not real quick, but it would be remiss if I did not say, great job, Washington. All the focus is on Jaden Daniels, and he should be getting a lot of it. But it should be pointed. It should get pointed out that they had an incredibly balanced offense. They hit us in the air, they hit us on the ground. They were really, really efficient at both. The one interception he had was a pretty good play by, I want to say, Garrett Williams. And he just went up and got it. Maybe Jaden got just a little bit cocky, but he only had 4 interceptions. 4 incompletions. And, yeah, it was a nightmare game to watch for a Cardinals fan. Very, very few positive takeaways for us. They just did whatever they wanted. So I am going to focus more probably on the Cardinals' problems. Basically, the Washington is, they were awesome. They were completely awesome on both sides of the ball. All right, moving on. I'll expand. I am looking forward actually to watching Washington a bit more this year. I came into the year thinking they were at least a year away, and I didn't like some of the moves they had made. I just didn't think it was going to work as well as it is. I did like Jaden Daniels, but he has really impressed me. Right now, I guess I'd have to pick him for Rookie of the Year, partially because Caleb and Drake May and Bo Nix really aren't, they're really not stepping up. But we'll see. But yeah, again, for the Cards, I think the defense is frustrating to watch because I think we have forced 8 incompletions in the last 2 games combined. And you're not going to win a whole lot of games that way. You're just not. 2 of those incompletions, I think, were interceptions, oddly enough. Our only 2 interceptions on the year. But it's this, just weird. Who knows what? Kyler got sacked a lot. Like I said, he was just off. Happy to see Marvin get another touchdown. He's actually tied for the league with touchdown passes. But yeah, there's just not a whole lot of positives to look at. I'm even a decent looking loss against the Niners this coming week would help wash the taste of this one out of my mouth. We'll see how that goes. So, anyways, when you looked at it, what did you see?
Yeah, no. To just a disclaimer, I didn't get to watch this one. I'm glad you were able to watch most of it. But so for me, it's more like just highlights and stuff. It seems to me like this was the good Jaden, right? Like I do think we talked early in the year that he was making some questionable decisions. He was kind of a go-to, let me run first. And I think we're seeing him evolve a little bit where he's making better decisions. He still ran 8 times, but I kind of feel like maybe it's not his first thought all the time anymore. which I think is interesting to see. Like you pointed out, it did seem like they were very balanced in offense. And then the big thing, it looked like were two different things. And you may have a better insight on these was, I think there were 4 or 5 in the red zone. And that a lot of those were rushing touchdowns, which I was surprised at. Um, and then the other one was third down conversions. Their third down conversions, they were 9 of 12 on. So it's like, the Cards defense would hold them to a third down and just could not keep them on. And, I would be interested to see, was that, hey, these are third and short and they were easy, or whatever. Maybe you have more insight on that, because it seems like it's the small things, right? It seemed like the small things are the things that kind of help them blow this open a bit.
Part of it was they get into third and whatever. It didn't matter. It'd be third and 12. And he just had all day. We could produce
no
pressure on him. And part of it is his mobility. Credit where credit's due. He's a quick little dude. But part of it is, like we talked about in the past, we got no pass rush.
Sure.
And it's just, even dropping 8 into coverage, he still completed 36 or 26 out of 30. So it was just a bad day. There's really not much more from a Cardinals perspective. There's just not a whole lot to glean from this one that's positive. The stuff that is supposed to work kind of works. Like, I'm really, the run game produced almost 6 yards a carry. I really don't have an issue with them there. It's just, it was just rough.
Well, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, I was just saying that it was kind of the opposite there on the third down conversions. The thing that really got me is there's very similar total number of third downs, and it was 4 out of 11 for the Cardinals as far as converting those, and it's like the things were balanced. It just wasn't converting across. It's like that when you're getting them, it was not the times you necessarily needed the plays, kind of things.
Right.
But the other thing that I saw that I thought was a positive for the Cards was, they were 2 for 2 in the red zone. It's just not getting in there enough. But was good to kind of see that. We've already kind of bragged about Malik Neighbors and how he started his season, and that's great. But kind of going to your point, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s ability to catch the ball in the end zone is incredibly, incredibly valuable. And I think probably enviable for a lot of those teams with younger, some of those rookie wide receivers and kind of what they're doing and producing. So thought that was a pretty high point overall. Kind of looking ahead, do you see them kind of bouncing back, or was there any other big kind of thing that you see as a shift coming out of this game, or do you think they'll come on back to play a good competitive game against a tough team this week?
What you're hoping for there is better schematic matchup, I guess. Just overall, almost like an organizational matchup kind of thing. So this may have been our kryptonite coming in, not like we're Superman, but just the perfect counter to the things we try to do. May have been what they were. And so you're hoping moving forward that the offense can get back to producing a bit more, although we've scored 14 this week and 13 the week before, so maybe we're right on track. But you're hoping for that. You're hoping the defense had their the worst day for a bad defense kind of a thing. And so you're hoping they can close the gap there a little bit. You've got a couple of guys that'll theoretically come off of injury in the next week or so. Trey McBride was in concussion protocol for this last week. He should help. Darius Robinson, our second first round pick this year, he could theoretically return this coming week, but we'll see. If you're looking for an effect on the game, he's projected to help against the run, which would be good against a team like San Francisco. But there's nothing really that you're like, oh, they're going to flip a switch and we're going to get back to 35 points a game and our defense is going to figure things out and get a whole bunch of pressures. Like, we have the lowest by far pressure rate of any team in the NFL. It's like 4%. It's crazy that somehow we're middle of the pack in sacks because we never get any pressure on the quarterback. And
that's interesting.
that's going to be a problem. Obviously, guys can't just be standing back there flat-footed. So, um, yeah, I some people are even on like they're already on like, well, is it time to start firing coaches and whatnot? I'm like, oh, no, I see where you're getting at, and I agree with the idea that if you've got one player that's not doing well, then you've got a player problem. But if all your players have like discipline problems, and then you've got a coaching problem. And there are times when it looks like the latter, and it may not be they're acting up like Antonio Brown kind of thing, but where there's just a lot of miscommunication, there's a lot of missed assignments, and potential for lack of effort. So if too much of that happens going through the year, that'd be one thing. And regardless of if that happens or not, if we go 1-6, 1-7 over the course of the next 3 or 4 games, that talk's not going to die down, and I'm going to start saying myself more likely. So this game flips a lot of the expectations for Cardinals fans. Now we're just like, oh, please don't let us go back to top 5 pick in the draft this coming year. So we'll see. Not trying to be all super negative all the time or anything, but
well, maybe on this one note of positive before you close it out. I was just looking at points for and points against, and noticed that Dallas and Arizona basically are the exact same points for and points against. We're 97 and 104. Y'all are 96 and 106. I mean, it's almost identical. So it's interesting that you're not that Dallas is running away with anything, but like the differences in those kind of things are not that far. I still see plenty of hope there going forward. It's just, are you guys going to figure, like you were saying, organization, you're going to figure out your game plan that's going to be effective with what you've got and all of that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm definitely ready to move on from this one and have something else to think about.